After my husband got injured at work, I picked up a second job to keep us afloat. One night, I came home at 11 p.m., exhausted, and found my mother-in-law sitting on my couch with a calculator. "You're not earning enough," she said, "so I'm taking over the finances." She'd already canceled my gym membership and transferred money to her credit card. My husband said, "She's just trying to help." I said nothing. The next morning, I froze our joint accounts, filed a police report for unauthorized access, and changed every password. Her face, when she was declined at the grocery store, said it all. I'm 39, living in Evansville, Indiana. I've been married to Rick for 12 years. He's always been good with his hands, worked at a local auto shop since before I met him. I do office work at a vet clinic. Life's never been perfect, but we were doing okay. Until Rick got hurt. Late last September, Rick messed up his knee at work. Tore 2 ligaments trying to move an engine block without a hoist. It wasn't his fault. The shop had been cutting corners for months. He ended up needing surgery and couldn't walk without help. No income, barely any support from workers' comp. I had to cover everything. So, I picked up a second job. Office cleaning in the evenings. My day started at 7:30 a.m. and didn't end until close to 11 p.m. I didn't complain. I just did what I had to. It was temporary. I kept telling myself that. Rick was home all day, high on pain meds, sleeping most of the time. I knew he wasn't thinking clearly. Still, I figured we were on the same team. I was wrong. It was a Tuesday night. I walked in the door after work, totally drained. I remember the smell, burnt popcorn or something. I expected silence. Instead, the lights were on, and his mother was sitting on our couch with a calculator in her lap. Eileen. God, I never liked that woman. She didn't even look up. Just said, "You're not earning enough." I stood there, sweaty, still in my janitor scrubs, holding a grocery bag with a $5 rotisserie chicken. I thought maybe I misheard her. But no, she looked up, dead serious. "I'm taking over the finances," she said. "This is too much for you." She had printed out our bank statements. I don't even know how she got them. She had a red pen and had circled things she didn't like. My $25 per month gym membership. The fabric softener I buy. She said, "You don't need Starbucks. You don't need streaming services. You definitely don't need a gym membership when you're working 2 jobs." I looked at Rick. He was sitting in the recliner, half asleep, watching a rerun of Pawn Stars. He didn't even flinch. I asked, "What is this?" "She's just trying to help," he said like a robot. Then she tells me, like it's no big deal, that she transferred $1,200 from our joint account to her credit card. Said it was for expenses she'd covered for us years ago. She had the nerve to say, "I figured we'd just settle that now since you've got steady income again." I couldn't believe it. That money was for rent, groceries, Rick's physical therapy. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just nodded and went upstairs. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in bed thinking, if she thinks she can take over my life, she's going to learn today. The next morning, I got up before sunrise. Rick was still snoring. Eileen was gone. I drove straight to our credit union, sat down with a woman named Denise, and explained everything. I froze our joint checking and savings, transferred what I legally could into a new personal account. I told Denise I needed everything locked down, new debit cards, new passwords, everything. Asked about the $1,200 transfer. She helped me file a fraud dispute. I printed the receipts. Then I drove to the police station and filed a report for unauthorized access and financial theft. The officer was surprisingly understanding. He said they see a lot of family cases like this. I went home. Changed every password, bank, Amazon, utility accounts, even our Netflix login. I texted Eileen one line. "You no longer have access to any of our accounts. Do not come to this house without my permission." She didn't respond, but I know she saw it. Around 5 p.m. that day, I got a text from my friend Kelly. She works at the Kroger near our house. She wrote, "OMG, did you cut her off? She just tried to pay with your card and got declined hard." She threw a pack of chicken on the floor. Apparently, Eileen had gone shopping and filled a cart. She tried to use the joint debit card. No luck. She had no backup. When the cashier told her it was declined, she caused a scene, said it was her account, and that there was a mistake. But she couldn't get through to the bank on the phone, and she stormed out without the food. I didn't feel bad. That was just the first crack in the wall. I wasn't done yet. The next day, Rick was cold. Not angry. Just different. He barely looked at me while I made coffee. He just sat there rubbing his knee like it was the only thing that mattered. She said you embarrassed her, he mumbled. I didn't respond. She's my mom, he added. I set my mug down harder than I meant to. And I'm your wife. She stole from us, Rick. She didn't steal. She helped when we needed her before. She was just, he stopped, shook his head. You didn't have to freeze everything. I couldn't even order my prescriptions yesterday. That one landed. I felt bad for a second. Then I reminded myself that he sat there and let her do it. He gave her access without asking me. He didn't even try to fix it. He just let her play house in my living room. You gave her the account info, didn't you? He looked away. That was all I needed. Later that week, I found out she'd called his sister, Missy. Now Missy and I used to be friendly. But after that phone call, it was like I'd run over her dog. She posted something online about selfish in-laws and kicking people when they're down. The worst part? People believed her. Rick's cousin Jeff unfriended me. His Aunt Carol, who once told me I was the best thing to happen to Rick, now wouldn't return my calls. Eileen had spun this narrative that I was some greedy, controlling woman who cut her off out of spite. I wanted to scream. I wanted to show them the transaction receipts, the report I filed, the hours I was working to keep the lights on. But I didn't. I knew better. Instead, I took it further. First, I called our utility companies and asked to remove Rick's name from every bill. I didn't want Eileen pretending to be him on the phone again. I set up two-factor authentication on everything. Then I started digging. A few months ago, Eileen asked me to help her with her taxes. She gave me a folder with login info to her email, claiming she didn't understand all the tech stuff. I remembered that folder. I still had it in our filing cabinet. I went into her Gmail. I know. I shouldn't have. But I did. And what I found made me sick. She had emails going back 2 years, applications for payday loans, overdue credit card bills, threatening letters from collections. She wasn't just trying to help us. She was drowning. That $1,200 wasn't a loan repayment. It was her trying to stay ahead of her own mess. One email hit me harder than the rest. It was from 3 months ago. Subject: Social Security overpayment appeal. Turns out, she'd been getting benefits she wasn't entitled to. She'd never reported a part-time job she had for a year, and now the government wanted the money back. Thousands. That's when it clicked. She didn't come into our lives to help. She came because we were her backup plan. She saw Rick injured, saw me working myself into the ground, and thought, perfect. I'll just slide in and take what I can. I printed every email, every notice, every shady transfer. I made copies. I stored them in a binder marked, in case of fire. The next day, I told Rick we needed to talk. I laid everything out, Eileen's debts, the benefits issue, the loan apps, the grocery store meltdown. I showed him her exact email to Capital One where she said, "My son and his wife will help cover this. They owe me." He sat there, stunned. "She's lying," he said at first. She didn't mean. "Read it," I said. He did. Word for word. He didn't say much after that. Just nodded. Then went outside and sat on the porch for an hour. The next morning, Eileen showed up. I was leaving for work and saw her car in the driveway. She was already halfway to the door. "I just want to talk," she said. Woman to woman. I stepped outside, shut the door behind me. "We don't have anything to talk about." She tried to push past me. "You're tearing this family apart." "No," I said. "You did that the moment you transferred money out of our account and called it a favor." "I took care of him while you were working," she snapped. "You took control, not care." She tried guilt. She cried. Then she screamed. Said I was poisoning Rick, turning him against his own blood. Said I was unstable. Then she tried to pull the classic line, "If you don't fix this, you'll regret it." I smiled, not because I thought it was funny, but because I knew something she didn't. I had already called the Social Security fraud line. Eileen didn't know I made that call 2 days before she showed up.
I didn't do it out of spite.
I did it because she was already circling the drain and trying to drag us down with her. She'd used Rick's injury as an opening. She lied, stole, manipulated, and when she couldn't control the money, she started twisting the story to make me the villain. So yes, I called the office of the Inspector General, gave them her name, address, social security number, and details of the job she never reported. I told them about the letter she got, the appeal she filed, and how she planned to have her kids pay off the debt. The woman on the phone said, "We'll look into it." That was all I needed. What I didn't expect was how fast things would start falling apart for her. 3 weeks later, Rick came home with an envelope in his hand. He'd gone to pick up some mail from Eileen's old P.O. box, one she used for years to hide things from creditors. This time, she must have forgotten to lock it down. The envelope was from a law office. The letter inside? A formal request for repayment on a $6,000 cash advance she'd taken out and never paid back. It listed Rick as a co-signer. I nearly blacked out. Rick looked at me and said, "I didn't sign anything." I believed him, but I had to be sure. I drove to the law office the next morning. Took my lunch break early. I asked to see the original documents. After some back and forth, they finally let me view the signed forms. It was Rick's name, but not his handwriting. The signature was shaky, almost like someone trying to imitate it from memory. I took pictures. I asked if they had any video of when the paperwork was signed in person. They didn't. I went home and showed Rick. His face turned gray. He stared at the signature for a long time, then said, "She forged it." I nodded. It was hard for him to accept that his own mother would do that. But it wasn't hard for me. She saw his injury as weakness. She knew I was busy working 60 hours a week. She thought she could fake his name, steal the money, and when the debt collectors came, blame it all on the meds and confusion. That night, I found Rick downstairs on the couch. He was holding an old photo of the two of them. He looked like a teenager, standing next to her at his high school graduation. "She used to make me peanut butter sandwiches for lunch," he said. "Every day. She didn't have much, but she always packed my lunch." I didn't say anything. I just sat next to him. "She changed," he whispered. "I don't know when, but this isn't her anymore." I didn't argue. We contacted a lawyer the next day. I showed him the documents, the emails, the police report, the financial history. He was blunt.
"She's a fraud," he said.
"And if you want to protect yourselves, you're going to need to file something formal." He helped us draft a cease and desist letter, warning her to stop all contact and financial claims. We also started the paperwork to press criminal charges for forgery. Rick didn't even hesitate. But here's where it really twisted. About a week after we sent the cease and desist, Rick got a call from a number he didn't recognize. It was a social worker from a local senior services office. Eileen had reported him for elder abuse, claimed he had cut off her access to her own money, isolated her, and used threats to control her. It was so upside down, I laughed when I heard it. But the social worker was serious. She said they were required to investigate every report, that someone had also called Adult Protective Services on her behalf. We knew it was Missy. She wanted revenge. She thought she could flip the script. So we cooperated. We handed over every record, every receipt, every email, every document showing what Eileen really did. I even gave them the forged signature, the financial theft report, and copies of the benefits fraud emails. The investigator stayed for 2 hours, asked quiet, careful questions, took notes. By the end of it, she looked at us and said, "I'm sorry you're dealing with this. We'll be closing this out." But I wasn't done. I thought the worst was behind us. I thought once the social worker left, once Rick saw the truth with his own eyes, things would settle. But Eileen didn't go quiet. A week after the visit from Adult Protective Services, we got a letter taped to our front door. Handwritten. It said, "You're not my son anymore. You let her ruin this family. When the dust clears, you'll see who you really are." Rick read it twice. Didn't say a word. He folded it up, walked to the kitchen, and lit it on fire over the sink. The next day, we got served. She was suing us in small claims court. Said we owed her $5,000 for family debts, unpaid caregiving, and emotional trauma. I was shaking. Not because we couldn't win, because she was that far gone. We lawyered up. We pulled everything. Bank statements, text logs, the audio Rick secretly recorded when she admitted on the phone. I only used his name, so the money would come faster. I burned that clip into a CD and handed it to our attorney like a weapon. The court date came. It was a cold February morning. Eileen showed up in a long coat, sunglasses on, like she was the one being attacked. Missy came too, sitting behind her like a loyal guard dog. Rick and I sat together. Quiet, tired, ready. When the judge called the case, Eileen stood up and told a story that didn't just twist the truth, it snapped it in half. Said she'd lent us money all year. Said I manipulated her son, drained the accounts, and left her destitute. Then it was our turn. Our lawyer played the voicemail. The one where she admitted taking the $1,200 because she deserved it. The one where she called me a lazy, ungrateful bitch who wouldn't be anything without Rick's last name. Then we showed the forged signature, the Social Security debt letters, the police report, the fraud alert. The lawyer let it all sit in silence. The judge looked right at Eileen and said, "Ma'am, not only are you not owed money, your lucky criminal charges haven't moved faster." He dismissed the case. With prejudice. We walked out quietly. No shouting. No gloating. Just silence. But the fallout came fast. Within 3 weeks, Eileen was formally charged with forgery, credit fraud, and Social Security theft. She got arrested. Booked. Mugshot and all. It made the local news because of the government angle. A woman in her 60s stealing benefits? People ate it up. Missy posted some long Facebook rant about how cancel culture destroyed her family. She deleted it when someone commented, "Your mom stole $6,000 and committed fraud." Not exactly canceled. Rick didn't visit her in jail. Not once. He didn't even pick up her calls. She got 6 months in county lockup and 2 years probation. Ordered to repay what she stole, not to us, but to the state. She lost her benefits for good. Rick's still recovering. Not just from the injury. From the truth. He sees now that I wasn't the enemy. That I wasn't trying to divide anything. I was trying to hold it all together while she used his pain as a wedge to tear us apart. We go to counseling now. It's not perfect. Some days I'm still angry. Some days he's still stuck in that place where sons believe their mothers are incapable of harm. But I work one job now. I sleep through the night. I know every penny in our accounts, and I keep the passwords locked tight. And Eileen? Last I heard, she was working part-time at a thrift store across town. No car. No credit cards. No power. She wanted control. She ended up with nothing. And I don't feel sorry one bit.